Assalamu alaikum students. The topic that we are going to study today is the slope and deflection method for indeterminate structures. In order to cover this topic, I have divided these topics into three subtopics in which the first topic or in which the first subtopic we will discuss about the basics of the slope and deflection, what are the different terminologies involved in it and the basic derivation. And the second part, we will discuss the application of the slope and deflection methods in for beam structures. And in the last part, we will discuss how the slope and deflection method is applied to the frame structures, and along with some of the basic examples to apply that method in solving that structures. So, for the time being, today I'm going to discuss about only the first part of this slope and deflection method. That is about the basic terminologies and the basics concepts involved in the slope and deflections method and how the formula of slope and deflection method has been derived. Well, as far as first, let's have a quick recap of what we have studied so far. We have studied so far the two methods of the force method of analysis for indeterminate structures. As I already told you that there are main three methods for the analysis of indeterminate structures. First one is called as force method. Second one is called as the displacement method, and the last one is called as finite element methods. In the force method of analysis, we have discussed the method of least method of consistent information and method of least work, and is overall in generally in both methods or in the force method, first of all we find out the unknown redundant forces, where we first start, as the name indicate, force method, so we calculate the unknown redundant forces. And these forces are calculated by solving these structures compatibility with the help of the equations of equilibrium and the compatibility equations of the structures. And later on, the other characteristics like reactions, axial force diagram, shear force diagram, and bending moment diagrams were evaluated using the equilibrium equation or the by method of the superpositions. Now, the other method that can be used to analyze the indeterminate structures is called as the displacement method or the stiffness method. And there are this in displacement method, as we first calculate the unknown displacements instead of calculating the redundant forces. We here first find out the unknown displacements, and these displacements are calculated using the structures equilibrium equations. And later on, the other characteristics of the structure like axial force diagram, reaction, bending moment diagrams, and shear force diagrams are taken into account, and these are calculated later part. But the basic difference between both force and displacement method is that in case of force method, first of all, unknown redundant forces are calculated, while in case of displacement method, first of all, we calculate the number of unknown displacements are calculated first. And as already I mentioned that there are two methods for that came under the force method of analysis. Similarly, the two methods that are going to study in the displacement methods are the slope and deflection method first, and second is called as the moment and distribution method. And we will study both these methods in details for both beam structures and both for the frame structures. As far as the slope deflection method is concerned, it was introduced for the first time in 1915 by George Manning, and he taken in account while the deriving this method, he taken in account only the bending deformations of the structures. He do not cater about the other deformations like deformations due to scrape, due to deformations due to shrinkage, or deformations due to shear. This we taken into account only the deformation that coming up due to bending deformations, or in other words, the deformation that occurs due to gravity loads only. It doesn't take into account the considerations of the lateral displacement or lateral deformations. And ultimately, this method later on, slope and deflection method, form the basis of the matrix and stiffness method, which we studied about in the later part of the our course. And this basic matrix and stiffness method is currently used in mostly in the structural analysis softwares like ETABS and ESAP 2000. The basic programming that lies behind these software is based on the matrix stiffness method. And matrix stiffness methods, the derivation is based on the slope and deflection methods. So from there you can understand how the important this method is. As coming to the slope and deflection equations, in order to consider that, we suppose we have an arbitrary beam A to B of a continuous structure, and it continuous structure can be of two spans, three span, four span structures. But let's consider that we have a simple one span structure A to B support structure only having a length of L. And when this particular beam A to B is subjected to an external loads, it will generate internal moments will be generated in the member at its both spots or at its both ends. And the slope and deflection equations basically relates these the moments generated due to applied loading with the rotation and displacement of the members at its both ends, far end and its on near end. And ultimately indirectly they relates the external loads applied to the member. So slope and deflection equations, what does they relates the moments at the end of the members with the rotation and deflections and displacements occurring at different ends of the members. So that's why we use slope and deflection methods, because they ultimately indirectly relates the loading with the deformation structures. Now, when we has, in order to coming to the derivation part, let's consider that a beam is subjected to an external loads and sports settlement as well along the member A and B. So no doubt there is if the bending deformation or the settlement is not at this large scale in actual structures, but this is just for illustration. An exaggerated figure is shown that assuming that the member is deflected in such a way that sports displaces this much amount, both sports A and B, due to applied loading. So in order to apply that, this method is applied by span to span. So slope and deflection equation can be initially applied at one span only. So considering again the span A to B having a length of L, let's check about the different moments occurring on the its member. The bending moments or the fixed and this applied load will cause the fixed end moments in the member and the shear force in the member at its both ends A and B. It will cause the moments in the member due to applied loading. And assuming that its EI is constant, both elasticity and inertia values are keeping as the constant. No, this what does this member AB and MBA generate? Basically, these two moments are the same, but the difference is that MAB indicates that the moment at the point A generated due to point B or generated in the MA in the member AB. As mentioned here that MAB denotes the moment at end A. The first subscript will indicates the location where movement has been generated, and other part is considered as the complete member, and where is indirectly what is mean the far end of the members. So first part will generate the near end of the member where movement is generated, and second part is the considered as the where the movement is entire member of the frame where movement has been generated, or entire span where the movement has been generated. And similarly, MBA will denotes that the moment at end B of the member in the member length AB, or moment at point B generated due to loading or as in comparison with the point A. We already know that whenever a movement is generated in the member, it will cause rotations and deflection in the member. Assuming that this MAB, considering only MAB, when the member is at this undeformed situations and the moment is generated MAB in the member due to loading at point A, what it will cause a member to bend away from point A, and similarly it will bend down due to loading. The member will bend down from point A, and it will move up from point B in order to keep that similarity in the structures. And we call this value the deformation or the movement of the member from rotation of the member from point A as theta A, and similarly the rotation at point B will call as theta B. And we will consider these two moments separately. First, we'll consider the moment generated due to MAB, its deformation shape, and similarly, the other figure is due to when the moment MB is generated and the member is also cause the rotation and deflection in the member. And rotation and deflection is on based on the direction of the moment, whether the moment will bend in clockwise direction or it will bend in the anti-clockwise directions. And I had already mentioned that theta A and theta B are the rotation at both ends A and B with respect to the original shape or undeformed position of the member. And when the member is moved away from its neutral axis, it will cause some deformation in the members. And we call this as value as delta. Delta denotes the relative translation between two ends of the member. The translation at two ends of the member in the direction of the loading applied perpendicular to the deformation of the axis is called as the value of the delta. So delta is basically the deformation part, or it's called as the relative translation in the y-axis generated due to applied moment, and it is measured from the undeformed axis or from the neutral axis towards the bending point. And the other term that is used in this method is called as psi. And psi is basically denotes the rotation of the members cohort. The psi is basically the overall or net rotation in the member due to theta A and theta B. Initially, MAB will also cause rotation, MBA will also cause rotation. So the negative or net rotation that is caused by both ends is denoted by psi, and psi is indirectly denotes the rotation of the members cohort or straight line that is connect the two positions of the members, as indicated here is that A dash B is connected with the B dash, and A dash and B dash are the arbitrary or deformed position of the members, and the maximum deformation from neutral axis to B dash will be called as the delta, and the maximum rotation or the net rotation due to from neutral axis will be called as psi. And the relation between psi and the real deformation is assumed to be delta. Psi is considered as delta over L, and which is a basic relation between when we have to calculate the value of the tangent or the theta. So what we calculate the value of theta is equal to y-axis perpendicular divided by base. So perpendicular is a delta, and psi is base is the length L. So if we consider this as the closed figure diagram, or in fact closed rectangle, and it consider as a triangle. So in case of triangle or in case of tangent theta, this tangent theta will be perpendicular over base side. So tan phi is equal comes out to be delta over L. And when the value of angle is very small, tangent theta is considered as approximately equal to theta. So that's why psi is considered as equal to delta over L, because tan psi is equal to psi, because the angle is very small or deformations will be very minute. And coming to the sign conventions, which are very important, considered as the important parameter in the structural analysis, the sign convention that I'm going to use in this chapter or in this video, in case of chapter, I am referring to the chapter 16 of structure analysis of R.C. Hibbeler. The member end moments are the which are the fixed end moments. Similarly, end rotations that is called as theta, and cohort rotation that is called as psi. They are always be positive when they are in the counterclockwise direction, or whenever they are in the anti-clockwise direction. they will be considered as positive. So anti-clockwise movement will be positive, anti-clock rotation will be positive, and anti-clock rotation psi will be positive. So these will be sign conventions, and similarly the clockwise rotations will be considered as negative, clockwise fixed end movements will be considered as negative, and clockwise chord rotation will be considered as negative. Similar deformation equation, slope deflection equations can be derived by relating the member end moments to the end rotations and chord rotation by applying the second moment of area. Second theorem of second moment area theorem can be applied to relate the member end moments with the rotations and cohort rotations. As coming no as similarly, if consider the again the same beam A to B having a span length of L on which we have applied uniform loading of W and a fixed loading of P, and due to this loading there will be a fixed end moment at both ends. At end A it will be called as MAB, at end B it will be called as MBA. Similarly, when this moment is generated in the member will move from its original equation towards elastic position or in maximum deformation in occur due to rotation in the members, and that will be called as delta. The rotation or deformation is the maximum generated in the members at both ends. That will be considered as delta. Similarly, if we consider the rotations at point B due to at A, it will be considered as delta BA, like MBA. Movement at point B in the member AB, similar deflection, and point B in the member AB. And similarly, delta AB will be the deformations in point 2 at point A. Delta B will be the maximum deformation at point B, and delta AB is the maximum deformation at point A. Now, considering this figure, we can see that deflection at point A, this deflection will be equal to, as already mentioned, that we apply here the tan formula to trigonometric function to solve these in order to drive this slope and deflection equations. It will be considered as perpendicular directions, that is delta BA plus delta A, which is the net deformations delta, divided by the length of the member, which is the entire length of the member, considering this as the triangle A dash B to B dash. And again, we have know that it is the value of this rotation is very minute or very small. That's why tangent theta is considered as theta. So at point A, it will become, as the equation will become as theta A is equal to delta BA plus delta divided by length, which is the base, and delta B over delta is the perpendicular distance. And similarly, when we applied this trigonometric function at point B, again the same function will be rotated, but the triangle will be in the opposite direction. And where we have tangent of theta B is equal to, again, perpendicular over base, and the perpendicular value of had in this part at point B will be considered as delta A B plus delta over base, and base will again will be remain as the same, which is the length of the member. So this will be the delta AB plus this part as delta at point B, and we are considering this triangle in order to apply at moment determine the rotation at point B. Now, as already I mentioned that the value of psi is equal to deformation time divided by the length. So we will apply this into the previous equation 1, which is based or it is for theta A, and into equation B. So delta, it will become the equation after solving that equation, it will become as theta A minus psi is equal to delta B over L. Similarly, the other equation will become theta B minus psi is equal to delta A B over L. No, the right hand side of both these equations is same, so we can now indirectly compare these equations as well for our simplicity. But no, we cannot compare it because here the deformation is delta BA and other is the deformation is delta AB. So we cannot compare. One is the deformation at end B and other is the deformation at end A. So we cannot compare these equation as it. So keep this equation as it is. And a delta B is the tangential deviation of end B from the tangent to the elastic curve at end A, as already mentioned, and delta AB is the deviation at end A in the member or in the elastic frame member A B or from point B. Now, as far as the second moment theorem is concerned, second moment area theorem, which you have a study in this structure analysis one, and you have probably solved the applied this moment in order to solve the rotation and the deflection as well. Both theorem will you have studied the first moment area of theorem and second moment of the theorem, and we will apply here is these moment of theorem in order to derive these slope and deflection equations. No, as per the second moment of area theorem, the deviation delta AB and delta BA can be calculated by the sum of by summing the moments about the ends A and B respectively, which under the area M over EI diagram between the two ends. So the bending moment diagram for the member is constructed by applying the moments MAB, MBA, and the external loading, which is basically the actual loading in the member separately on the member with the simply supported ends, and it is diagram is shown here. These three simple beam bending moment diagram will be obtained. One again, first moment diagram will be due to MAB, the second will be the moment diagram due to MBA, and third will be due to the external loading. And the shape of this diagram will be such that MAB, when the moment is applied at point AB, the maximum moment will be generated at point A. So it will be moved downward, and maximum intensity at point A, and ultimately it goes towards zero at point B. Similarly, the moment when MBA is applied, the maximum intensity of the moment is at point B, so we will have a maximum moment at point B, and its share will be maximum at point B, and it goes linearly zero towards the point A. And then we have a bending moment diagram due to applied external loads, and it is generally based on the type of the loading that applied on the beam. No, the assuming that we have a prismatic member. Prismatic members means we have a constant elasticity and inertia in the member along the length of the member. That we do not consider a simple rectangular frame member. That member is not tempered and its elasticities remain same, and there is a no change in the cross section of the member. Then if we sum up the movements under the M over EI diagram of the members, to in order to calculate the tangential deviations, that is a delta AB and delta BA, we will use this equation that delta BA is equal to area of the under diagram M over EI diagram. That is 1 over EI. First we will have due to loading for moment at A, which is this MAB. Area of this diagram will be, as it is a triangle, so we will have area its half base into height. So we will multiply it half, which is again one, it will become as 1 by 2 into area half base. We have a total length of the member which is called as base, and the height of the member is MAB. So it will be half MAB into L divided by 2, which is again of the formula, multiplied by the centroid. And centroid of the beam will be lies at point 2 by 3. If we are measuring it here, the centroid of the beam will lies here. The centroid of the bending moment load or applied with will be lies at point 2 by 3. So we will multiply its 2 by 3 into length of the member. As it is in negative directions, or in I mean it is anti-clockwise direction, so it will be considered as positive. No, the similarly when we consider the MBA, it is in the clockwise direction, so it will be considered as negative. But the formula will remain as the same. It is again a triangle, so we will have half base into height multiplied by the centroid centroidal distance of the member, which will be L by 3. MBA at the, we have a MBA over L by 2 into L by 3 because we are calculating it as point B. This is the point B. We are calculating the delta BA as indicated here. We are calculating. We are calculating as delta BA. That is, we are calculating the deformation at point B. So distance will be what? Distance will be L by 3. Similarly, from point A, its distance will be 2L by 3. That's why when the first part we have multiplied it 2L by 3, and in the second part we will multiply it with the L by 3. And again, the shape or the area under the diagram due to applied loading, it is again in the clockwise direction. As from considering from the point B, it will be considered as negative, and its value can be called as minus GB because we do not know the exact value of moment due to external applied loads. So that's why we call this as GB. And once we simplify these equations, after taking the LCM and multiplying the different terms, we will get as MAB into L square. In order to simplify it, let me inform it. The 2 will be cancelled out with the 2. We will have MAB and L into L multiplied, we get L square divided by 3, and it's multiplied with the EI, so we will get is at 3 EI. Similarly, minus MBA into L square over 3 into 2, 6 EI minus GB over EI. So this will become as the equation 4A. Thus, we will apply the same procedure at and A to calculate the maximum deformation at point A, and the same equation is applied, that only the difference will be in terms of the sign conventions, and we will ultimately get the value of the equation for deformation at point AB is minus MAB L square over 6CI plus MBA L square over 3EI plus GA over EI. The important point that you need to note here is the point where we are calculating the deformation. So we will get first that part, and we get that point L square, and in the denominator of that part we have a 6. Like where we have a delta AB, then we have a MAB over 6EI. Similarly, where we have a delta BA, and we get the value of MBA over 6EI. It means that the near end we have a deformation of 1 by 6, and other end we have a deformation of 1 by 3. So filtration is increased. No, here we have a, as already mentioned, I told you that two terms, we are using these two terms GB and GA. These GB and GA are the moments about the ends B and A respectively, as B indicates that moment at B and B of the area under the simple M over EI diagram due to external loading, as already I told you. No, the three terms in equation 4A and 4B, these two equations I'm referring to, the equation 4A which is related to delta BA, and equation 4B which is related to delta AB. And the three terms that I'm going to refer is, first one is this MAB over L square into I, second MBA L square over I, third is due to applied loading. The three equations represent the tangential deviations due to, first due to applied moment at point A, second due to applied moment at point B, and third is due to external loading. And these loading are acting separately on the same member. And as I did told, the negative term indicates that the corresponding deviation is in opposite to the member that is shown in the elastic curve of the member, as already told. The negative sign indicates that the deviation is in the opposite direction. Similarly, negative moment indicates that the moment is acting in other directions. And same with the deformations. And if we get a minus sign with the deformations, that is minus MB over A L square over 6CI, it means that we are going to get it in the, instead of anti-clockwise, we are going to get it in the clockwise rotations we will have. As you can see that M rotations due to MBA, we have a MAB L square over EI, MAB, that we have a positive MAB L square over 3EI, and which is due to point A moment, and similarly we have a mb square L over 3ei. And for point B, we have a positive, which is again we have assumed that value is positive, so it will be remain as the positive. And in other direction, instead of we are actually we have a negative sign, which means that our deformation is actually in the opposite directions. So it will be considered as in the positive. Instead of it is going downward, it is in the upward direction. Same is the case for the moment F and BA. At point A, it is MABL square over 3EI, and at MBA, it is MBL square over 6EI. And same goes with the loading. One in one direction we have a negative loading, another direction we have a positive line, positive direction loading. And the sign is dependent on the type of the loading. Now, if we substitute these equations, that is 4a and 4b, that is related to delta BA and delta AB, into equation 3, which is delta A minus I is equal to delta over L. The value of delta we have received here in the equation 4a of 4b. And when we divides that length by L, so we will cancel out this square terms. So that's why square term will be minimized, that we only get the value of length into L. There is no square term. And in the case of applied loading, as there is no there is no involvement of length in the numerator, that why length will becomes in the denominator due to the equation coming from equation 3. And same will be procedure will be the other end at point B. To express the member end moments, and in order to calculate these values of MAB and MAB, we will solve these equations simultaneously, both 5A and 5B. So we will in order to solve these equations, we will write re-equation 5 as MBA over L over 3EI is equal to 2MABL over 3EI minus 2GB over EIL minus 2 into psi A over phi. What we are doing is we are basically only calculating the value of these terms, which is MABL over 3EI. Similarly, by substituting this value of either MAB or MBA, we can calculate the value of any one moment and put that value into other equations in order to get the value of moments. So putting these value into equation 5b, we will get the value of MB as in this. We will get the value of MAB is equal to 2EI over L into 2 times of rotation at point A plus rotation at B minus 3 times psi plus 2 over L square into 2GB minus GA. And similarly, if we solve the other part of equation by putting the value of equation 5b into equation of 5a, we will have the value of MBA. And its value will be 2EI over L into theta A plus 2 theta B minus 3 psi plus 2 by L square into GB minus 2GA. So from this equation, we can infer that the moments that is developed at end of the member, it depends on two things. One is the rotation and other is the translations, that is the formation of the members. And on third one is the on the applied loading as well. So there are three things that contribute on the fixed end moments. One is the rotation, second is deformation, and third is the external applied loadings. Oh, the one more thing that you can also infer from this equation is that if we calculate the moment of MB, we get the twice rotation at point A. And if we find out the value of MBA, we will get the twice of rotation at point P. So what does this mean? This means that the point of application of moment, we will have a maximum rotation at that point, or we will have a twice rotation at the point of applied moment. where the moment is applied, and we will have the half rotation at the other end. Now, in order to calculate the fixed end moments, consider that as a single beam, and consider the for every part consider the both ends of the member as fixed, whether the sport is as pin or roller, or it is a simply sported or hinge sports. We will for calculate the moments, we will find out the consider that the both sports are fixed at both ends. No, in order to calculate the moment that develop at the ends of such a fixed beam, they are referred to as the fixed end moments. That's why fixed they are called as fixed end moments, because these are the moments that are generated in the beams when the both ends are fixed. And we can calculate the values of these fixed end moments by setting the deformation at rotation at point A or equal to rotation at B and equal to deformation which is equal to 0. We already know that there is a no mom- rotation at when the sport is fixed, and similarly there are no deformations when we have a fixed sport. That's why the values of theta A, theta B or deformation at delta A or delta B will be 0. If we put these values at 0 in these previous equations, we have value of theta A is 0, theta B is 0, and we have a value of psi is that is 0. This entire first term will become as 0. The only terms that we are left with the second term, which is 2 by L square into 2GB minus GA for both ends, whether it is at point A or at end B. Now, by comparing the equation 6 and 7, 6 and 7, these two equations, 6 and this equation 7, the simplified forms, we can rewrite the equation 5 as MAB is equal to 2EI over L into 2 theta A plus theta B minus 3 psi plus fixed end moment at point AB, because its value is equal to 2 by L square into 2GB minus GA, and which is basically we have the equation 6A, and this value comes out to be the value of fixed end moment at point A in the member AB. And the same goes with the other end of the member, that is MBA, which is 2 EI over L into theta A plus 2 theta B minus 3 psi plus fixed end moment at point BA. Now, these two equations, both 8A and 8B, express the moments MAB and MBA in terms of the rotations, that is theta A and theta B, and in terms of translation, which is psi. And we already I have told you that the value of psi is delta by L, deformation divided by length, and also depends on the external applied loading. And these equations are called as the slope deflection equation, because where we have a slope, we have a deflection, and we have applied loading as well, moment due to applied loading. So these equations are called as slope and deflection equations for prismatic members, because the initial assumption that we have used is that we consider that we have a beam have a prismatic beam, that this has a constant value of inertia and it's a constant value of elasticity, and it is subjected to linear elastic material, and it has a very small deformations. And already mentioned the deformations due to axial force or shear force will be neglected. We will only going to consider the deformation that is occurring due to bending moments or due to bending loadings. So, in order to simplify this equation, or in order to generalize these equations, we can say that moment at near end and far end. Suppose we are calculating it as member A, so A will be called as the near end, and F will be called as the far end, which is in B in the last part. So it will become as 2 EI over L into 2 times theta n, as that is 2 times of rotation at the near end plus 1 time rotation at the far end minus 3 times psi, which is 3 times delta by L plus fixed end moment A n ni first moment at near end due to far end or in entire member. And already mentioned that here n referred to the near end of the member and mn effect as the and subscript identify as the far end or the other end of the members. So if we consider the being AB, A will be considered as the near end when we are calculating the or applying the equation at point A or calculating the slope and deflection equation at point A, and B will be considered as the far end. And the reason for generalizing is this equation is that in case of continuous beam, we have a more than one, two, or three spans. So for that, if we are calculating the deformation in the span CB, what will become? The B will become as the near end, the C will become as the far end. So these from this we can apply this equation simultaneously to the number of the spans we can use. And later on, we after that we can once we have the value of these moments, then we can use the equation of compatibility to calculate the value of the moments. And when we have the value of moment at one end, indirectly we have calculated the one value of the redundant, and we have, or I would say, we have reduced the determinacy of the structure. And as the structures become determinate, we can apply the equation of equilibrium to find out the reactions and to find out the axial force diagrams and to calculate the bending moment diagrams. Now, in order to illustrate the basic applications of the slope and deflection equations, consider the three span equation, which is mentioned here A, B, and C, where the span AB has a length of 20 feet, span B has a length, second span has a length of again 20 feet, and third span CD has a length of 15 feet. And we have uniformly distributed load in the span AB of 1.5 kips per foot. In the span B to C, we have only single point load acting at the center of the beam, which is 30 kips, and we have no loading in the span C to D. The value of EI is considered as the constant for the entire frame, and the value of E that we are going to use that in this problem is E is considered value of elasticity is 29,000 KSI, and the value of inertia is 500 inch raised to power 4. No, here we first no here as I already told you or already I have informed you that slope and deflection method equation is applied on one span at a time only. So you cannot apply this method directly to the number of the spans or directly to the beam. So what we are going to do is that first I am going to apply this equation in the span AB, then it will be applied in the span BC, and later on it will be applied in the span CD. As then going to solve the compatibility equations to solve these members and the frames. For the first part, what we need to do that you need to find out the unknown displacements or independent displacement. You have to identify whether these are in terms of the rotations or in terms of the displacements. You have to identify those, that at which point we are going to have a rotation and which point we are going to have a deflection. And these unknown joint displacements are referred to as the degree of freedom of the structure. Degree of freedom. What is the degree of freedom? Degree of freedom is the unknown displacements at the joints. They are called as the degree of the freedom. Now, at the last lecture, I have told to, or I had taught you how to draw the deflected shape of the structures qualitatively. So, using loading, you can easily draw the qualitative structure of the structure. At the fixed end, we have a zero rotation, zero deflections. Then we have due to downward bending, or due to gravity bending, we have a downward bending. At point A, it will become as the zero, and again, due to it will keep its the continuity or in terms of the slope of the deflected shape. So its value is going to be increased at point slightly. It will be went up at the from the right side of the point B, and then it will again move downward due to this point load of 30 kips, and when it's at point C, it will become at the zero, and ultimately that give the it will be moved up from in the span C to D because there is a no loading injecting in the point C to D. No, as we see at their point, the joint A and D cannot rotate because these both joints are fixed ends, as already mentioned in the beams. And at the fixed end, we have a no rotation and we have a no displacements. And similarly, in case of roller sports, the sport beam cannot move in the upward or in the downward direction. So there will be no deformations, or indirectly there will be no displacement in the members. So we will have only rotation at the roller sport, that is point B and point C. And the rotation at point B will be considered as theta B, and rotation at C will be called as the theta C. So we have two unknown displacements, or we have a degree of freedom 2, which is theta B and theta C. And this beam has a 2 degree of freedom theta B, and which is unknown displacement joints at point B and C respectively. And this degree of freedom is called as also called as the degree of kinematic indeterminacy. What we are calculated so far is the degree of determinacy, which is basically the static degree of degree of indeterminacy. And the other terms that is also called as the degree of indeterminacy, but is in the form of kinetics. It is also called as the degree of the freedom of the structures. And the structure without any degree of freedom is called as kinetically determinate. The structure will be determinate when we have a 0 degree of indeterminacy. And similarly, the structure we have a determinate structures when we have a its value is equal to 0, or it can be easily solved by the help of compatibility equations. Now, these then we will going to apply the equation of equilibriums, and these equation of equilibriums are applied to find out the unknown joint rotations, and these are be applied to find out equation. The free body diagram, and after that we will form the draw the free body diagrams of the members and joints B and C of the continuous beam. So what we are going to do is that we are going to divide this beam or split this beam into three different parts: A to B, B to C, and C to D. In A to B, what we will have a applied loading of 1.5 kip per feet, and then we have a going to have a moment in the direction of anti-clockwise, because we assume that anti-clockwise is considered as the positive. And similarly, we at point B we have applied loading of 30 kips, and we will have a moment of MBC and MC. Why MBC? Because it for the we have a beam of B to C. That's why moment at B in the member BC. And similarly, we are going to have a moment in frame member C span C to D, but there will be no loading in member C T. Now, as far as the sports is concerned, the moment applied at the sport is exactly opposite to its the adjacent span. Like we have a anti-clockwise, like we have a clockwise moment, or like we have a anti-clockwise moment in the beam MBA in this directions. So we are going to have a exactly opposite moment at its sports in the other direction, that is in clockwise directions, which is mentioned here. If we have an anti-clockwise movement direction in the member at the sport, we will have a clockwise movement. And similarly, this movement also transferred to the sport other side of the sport. It will be again clockwise, so its movement again will in the member. It will be in counter clockwise directions. Now, in addition to external loads, member is also subjected to internal movements as well at its each ends, because we have a loading or member due to apply loading as well. So that's why, as we do not know exactly whether the resultant of these movements is going to be the positive or negative, so as the assumption we consider all the movements as the positive, or in other words we consider them as in the counter clockwise direction initially. Then we draw the free body diagram of the joints to show the number and movements acting in the opposite direction clockwise in accordance with the Newton's law of reaction and action and reaction. Action is if we have a moment in clockwise direction, and its direction will be the moment will be in anti-clockwise direction. So that is what I am referring meant by the Newton's law of action and reaction. If the moment and the member is in anti-clockwise direction, the moment that acts in the slope direction, it will be in clockwise direction, so that beam will remain stable in the its position. Now, as we have the entire structure is in the equilibrium, so the each member and its joint will also be in the equilibrium. So by applying the moment equations or by applying the equation of equilibriums, we can find out the free body joints moment at point B and C. And we apply the equation of equilibriums at the points where we have unknown displacements or unknown displacements. And unknown displacements includes two types. One is the rotation and second is the deflections. And as we have no deflections in this beam, so we will only going to consider as the rotation. And in this beam we have rotation at 2 points that are in the roller sport at point B and the roller sport at point C. So if we write the equation of equilibrium at point P, it will be MBA, the moment acting at sport B due to span AB, that is MBA, plus MBC, the moment acting in the point or sport B in the due to span loading in the span BC, that is considered MBC, will be equal to 0. As the value of these two moments is in anti-clockwise direction, so its value will be positive. It will consider as positive MBA, positive MBC is equal to 0, because there will be no rotation or no sport settlement. If we have a sport settlement here, then its value will be equal to that settlement of the sport. And similarly at point C, it will become as MCB plus MCD is equal to 0. The interesting point while writing the equation of equilibrium is, if you are writing it at point P, we will always have a value of moment MBA. That is, first subscript will be the point where the equation of equilibrium is going to be formulated. That if we are writing the equation for point B, it will be MBA plus MBC. So B will be always be in the first position, and the other subscript will always be its adjacent span. At the point, there are two spans that are adjacent to point B. One is A and other is C. Both points will be considered taken into account. Similarly, when we consider the point C, its adjacent moments will be MCB and MCD. Now, in order to find out the value of calculate the values of these theta B and theta C, we have to apply the slope deflection equations. And what does the slope equations do? They relate the member and moments with the unknown joint rotations. But before writing the slope and deflection equations, that already I have told you that we need to find out the fixed end moments in the beam, which are occurring in the beam due to the external loading. To find out the fixed end moments, we always assume the beam is fixed end from both ends. Like AB, we know that we have a B at point B, we have a roller sport. But to calculate the fixed end moments, we will convert this sport B, which is roller, into a fixed sport. So in order to calculate the fixed end moment, this A will be a fixed sport, B will also be a fixed end sport. Or this fixed end sport is provided at each end of the member to prevent the joint rotation of the member. Like this, we have a fixed end moment. We are convert the or solar sport into a fixed end sport so that there is no rotation and no deflection at point both ends of the member. Similarly, fixed end moment will be formulated at all these sports will be converted into fixed end moments. So we will have, in order to calculate the fixed end moments, we will have three forms: MAB, MBC, and MCD, and all sports are converted into fixed end moments. And fixed end moments, what they do, they basically restrain the members, or they prevent the deformation of the member in both laterally and both vertically. And the value of these fixed end moments, you can find out the value of these fixed end moment by using the tables that are used derived after the very careful calculations by the pioneers, and or by you, and they summarize it in the form of a table called as the fixed end moment table. You can easily find it on the Google, and it is also available in the last page of the structure and analysis book as well. From there, you can find out the value of the fixed end moment when we have a uniformly distributed loading to the entire span of the beam. And its formula is WL square by 12. And where W is the uniform loading, which is 1.5 here, L is the length of the span, which is 20 feet, 20 divided by L. And this, remember that this L is the span length of the member AB only. Do not confuse it with the entire length of the member or entire length of the beam. And its value will come out to be the 50 kips fit, and it will be in the anti-clockwise direction. Similarly, friction moment at point BA will also be WL square by 12, and its value also comes out to be 50 kips fit, but in the clockwise direction. Similarly, when we find out the for member BC, and when we have a uniform pointed loading, the formula for its maximum fixed end moment is PL by 8. P is the point load, which is 30 kips, L is the span length, 20 kip fit, and divided by 8 is of the formula. Its value comes out to be 75 kip fit, and same will be the value of fixed end moment at point C to P. As we have a no loading in the span C to D, so its fixed end moment will be value of 0, because we don't have any value of the load at here. When suppose assuming that it is P value of P is what has a 0, it will convert the entire form or entire term into 0. Now, writing the equation and slope and deflection equations, we know that the point A and D are fixed in the actual beam. So that indirectly it means that the rotation at point A and rotation at point D will be equal to 0. So writing the slope and deflection for member AB with A as the near end and B as the far end, the formula of, or the equation for slope and deflection equation is 2EI over L. 2EI will be remain as a constant. L is the length of the span AB, which is 20 feet, into 2 times of rotation at point A, that is rotation at near end. The rotation at point A is 0, as already mentioned that it is a fixed pole. So its value becomes at 0. And the plus delta of rotation at far end. Rotation at far end means rotation at point B, which is yet to be calculated. Minus or plus minus deformations or minus value of psi, as there's no settlement in the member, so its value will be again 0, plus fixed end moment at AB, fixed end moment AB, FEM AB, its value is 50 kip fit, we have calculated it, and its value will be 50 kip. It is in clockwise direction, so its value will be positive, remain at the positive. Once we simplify this equation, it will become as 0.1 EI theta B plus 50. Similarly, when we consider find the value of MBA, we'll find out that we have a 2 times theta of B, theta A will become as 0, deformation will become as 0, plus fixed end moment. In this case, the fixed end moment is in clockwise direction, so its value will be considered as minus 50. See here, there we have a fixed end moment in clockwise direction, so its value will be in negative, because we assume already informed you that the for sign convention anti-clockwise movement will be considered as the positive. So it will become as the minus 50. We will repeat the same with the member BC and the member C to D. Sorry for this typo mistake or for this blurring, but I hope that you can easily calculate it. That we have a 2 times of theta B plus theta C, and we will not have any rotation here. So that will plus fixed end moment, which is 35. Similarly, when we write the equation of theta CB, it will become as 2 times of theta C plus theta B minus 75, because it is again in clockwise direction. And once we then we simplify it, as it becomes as 2ei theta C plus zero point 0.1 ei theta B minus 70 for MCB, and for MBC it will become 2 theta ei zero point 0.2 en theta B plus zero point 0.1 ei theta C plus 75. It will become as equation 18a and 18d. And the same procedure will be repeated for member C to D. In case of member C to D, we know that we have a one member is C. So when we write as use the C as the nearest spot, it will become as 2 times of theta C plus theta D. Theta D is we have a fixed spot, its value will be 0. And there is no loading or external loading, so its fixed end moment will also be 0. So the only terms that we are going to consider is 2 times of theta C. And similarly for MDC, we will have a 2 EI over L. Here the span length is 15 feet instead of 20 feet. That's why it is divided by the 15 feet. And for MDC, we will have 2 times of theta D, which means theta D is 0, so it's very become nullified, plus theta C, and there is no, again, no value of deformations or fixed time moments, and therefore the value will be 0. So if once we simplify it, its value becomes that 0.267 ei over theta c, and for MDC it will become 0.133 ei theta c. Now we will have 6 equations: 2 from member AB, 2 from member, we have 6 equations: 2 from member or span AB, 2 from span B to C, and 2 from C to D. And what we need to do is we have to simplify these equations by using the basic mathematics. We can use the factorization method, we can use the elimination method, or we can use these equations, solve these equations simultaneously. And what then we have to find out the value of net and resultant. Ultimately, we have to find the value of theta B and theta C. So ultimately, you have to simplify these equations. So once we simplify it, we will find out the value of ei theta B as minus 10846 kip fit, and value of ei theta C as 183.82 kips fit. We know that the value of E that we have calculated given with the data is 29,000 KSI, and the value of inertia is given as 500 inch 4. Once this value is put into here, E and I, and it divided with the value of minus 108.46, we get the value of theta B as minus 0.011 radians. And similarly for value of theta C, we will get this value is 0.0018 radians. Negative sign indicates that the rotation is in clockwise direction instead of anti-clockwise direction that is initially assumed. For theta C, it is in positive direction, so it means that rotation assumption is correct, that is, it is in anti-clockwise directions. Once we have the value of theta B and theta C, we will simply need to plug that into the given equations that we have formulated using the slope and deflection equation. Here we have to put the value of the theta B. Once we put the value of theta B, we will find out the moment at point A, B. Similarly, when we put the value of theta B in the equation 18b, we will find out the value of MBA. And similarly, in the span BC, we both value of theta B and theta C will be used to calculate the value of MBC and MCB. For moment CD and moment DC, only value of theta C will be used. And once we plug these values into these equation, we get the value of 6 moments as MAB 39.2 keep fit in anti-clockwise direction. Similarly, the moment which is in positive, it means that assumption is correct, which is moment which is in negative direction, it means that assumption is wrong, and we have to change its direction. And once we find out the values of all these 6 moments, they will be plugging back into the compatibility equation, so that we have written in the very initially step using the degree of freedom, that is MBA plus MBC. So we will put these values that we calculated here as MBA is 17.17, MBC is again 17.1.7. And once we, one is in negative sign, one is in positive sign, it ultimately comes out to be 0. So it indicates that the moments that we have calculated are in correct and there is no calculation mistake. If you didn't get the value of 0 at this point of the check, it means that you have certainly done some mistake, either in terms of the calculations or in terms of the formulas for the fixed end moments, or you have done a blunder in applying the slope and deflection equation. Once we have the moments, the other second step that we have to follow is to calculate the value of the member and shears. In order to calculate that, we have to show the value of the moments on the actual beam. That at point A we have a moment of 39.2 kip fit. At point B, MBA, we have a value of 71.7 kip fit. Similarly, we'll use the value of the moment at MBA, MBC, MCD, and MDC will be shown on the actual beam. And later on, the value of the shear will be calculated at each point, like shear at AB, shear at BA, shear at BC, shear at CB, shear in CD, and shear at DC. It will be the same as AB indicates the shear at point A in the member AB. What in order to calculate that shear, we have to apply the moment equation and the particular member. For example, for member AP, when we put the value of sum of moment at point B is equal to 0, we find out the value of shear of AB as 13.7, 13.38 kip. Positive value indicates that the shear is in the upward direction. And for the moment, the factors that we've taken into account, one is the moment at point A, other is the shear multiplied by the span, shear at the span, or intermediate, I would say the reactions at point A into the span, plus the moment due to applied loading, which is UDL, so it will come as WL into L by 2, minus the moment at point B, which is 17.17. So we will find out the shear at point A is 13.38 kips, or I would say the reaction at AB comes out to be 13.38 kips. Similarly, then we use the equation of equilibrium for that is summation Fy is equal to 0 to calculate the value of shear AB, which comes out to be the 16.72 kips. Then we move to the other member, that is member BC, and repeat the same procedure. Then apply the equation moment at any point equal to 0, and then apply the summation of Fy is equal to 0 to calculate the shear at BC, and then we calculate the value of shear in CB. The same procedure will be repeated for the third step, or the third frame of the member of the frame, which is CD, and its value comes out to be shear at CD comes out 4.9 kips, and shear in DC comes out to be 4.9 kips, but it will be in negative direction, so it indicates that its value will be in downwards. So it is had been represented here. Once we have the shear at all points, then we will find out the reactions, and reaction is basically the summation of the shear points. At A, we will have only one shear, that is SP, so the reaction at A will be 13.38 kips, while at point B, we have two shears, that is shear AB and shear BC. We are basically going to sum up these both shears. That's shear BA, value of shear BA is 16.62 kips, and the value of shear BC is 16.13 kips that we have calculated in the previous steps. That is, shear BA is calculated as 16.62 kips, and shear at BC is calculated as 16.13 kips. Both are positive, both will be added up to get the reaction at point B, which is comes out to be the 13.75 kips. The same procedure will be repeated at point C, and the summation of the shear at point C results in the reaction at point C, which comes out to be 18.77 kips. And as far as part D is concerned, we have only one shear. The reaction will be again the shear in DC, which is value of 4.9 kips. So what we have calculated the sport selection as well by using the sport member and shears. We have the reaction at point A, which is 13.38, and we have a reaction at D, which is minus 4.9 kips as well. And using these equations, oh, you can also calculate these shears, as already I had told you that shear at sport, if there is only one shear, so basically shear at AB will result in the reaction at AY, which is 13.38 kips. And similarly, as it is a fixed sport, so it will have a moment as well. So moment at A will basically be equal to the moment at MAB, which is value of 13.39.2 kip. Similarly, for point D, dy comes out to be 4.9 kips, and moment at D will be the moment at point D in the member CD, MDC, which is basically MDC. Its value comes out to be 24.4 kip fit. Oh, no, in order, we can also apply the checks as here in order to check the computations of member and shears and the support reactions are correct or not by considering the entire beam in a one go. For example, once we apply the summation of Fy is equal to 0 to the entire beam, it will become as the reaction at A minus loading in the span AB, because it is in opposite direction, plus reaction at point B plus or minus loading in the span B to C, plus reaction at the point C minus O in the reaction at D, 4.9 kips. And its value, if its value comes out to be 0, it means that you are going good. If not, that it means that you have done some mistakes in your calculations. But sometimes we have also have a calculation of the rounding as well, rounding of error in the matrix as well, on the calculations as well. Like once you apply the moment of MD is equal to 0, we will get the value of approximately minus 0.1, which is approximately equal to 1. So it also indicates that the calculations that we have performed are correct. These equilibrium checks are not necessary. They are only for your own self-assessment that whether you are going in the right direction or not. Once we calculated the shear force directions, then we move towards the shear force diagram, and you already know about the calculations of the values of the shear force diagram. I won't going into the depth of these shear force diagram because we have calculated and studied it in number of times in the structure analysis one and also in the force method of analysis. And once you have the shear, you have the reactions, you can easily draw the shear force diagrams. Just to give you a brief view, once we have a uniformly distributed loading, we will have a straight line or first degree curve or straight line in for shear force diagram. We will move upward till the direction of the point A, then we will move downward due to loading in the downward directions. So when the loading is downward, the slope will be going to be decreased till point P, because the loading is acting in the entire frame. Again, it will be the value of
point P, it will be sum up with the reaction at point A, and it will move upward towards the point of 16.13. Then you will go downward due to the applied load of 30 kips. You will move reach to the value of minus 13.87. Then there is a no loading between in the span apart. Once you move away from the point go towards C, so we'll get a straight line towards point C, and then again we have a reaction. It will move upward towards the 4.9, and no loading in the point A results in the straight line towards the point D. And once you move towards point D due to the reaction in the downward direction, and you will close your shear force diagram. The important factor is, so the point is, whenever we have a UDL load, we have to calculate the point of contraflexure. And in order to calculate the point of contraflexure, you need to know the distance, or the point at where your value of the shear force diagram gets close to zero or zero. And for that, calculate the distance, you generally calculate it by using the principle of the similar triangles. You are going to consider as the triangle, and consider the distance between A to F as x, and the height is 13.38. So what you are going to use the relationship as perpendicular. We know that as per the principle of the triangles, when two triangles are considered as equal, if they have a common point of connection or common point of origin or origination. So we will consider as this triangle A to F, or considered as the point G, AGF. And this perpendicular distance is 13.3x or in base is considered as x. It will becomes equal to the, you will going to consider as the bigger triangles, which is AG to P. You are going to consider this triangle AG to P, and its total distance will become as 13.38 plus 16.62 divided by length of the member, which is 20 feet. So you divide it as 20, and the total height of the triangles will become as 13.38 plus 16 point, which is in the downward direction from point P, 16.62. And using this principle, using this compatibility relationship, you can easily find out the value of the x, which is basically used in the location of the point of the contraflexion. Once we have the point of contraflexion, then you can calculate the moment at easily at that point, and we consider that point as f, and the value of moment at that point comes out to be 20.5 feet. Similarly, you can easily draw the moment diagram by using the shear force diagram, or by using the method of the method of the sections to draw the shear force diagrams. So in order to summarize these points easily, the point of shear flexure point, we have a moment of 20.5 kip fit. At the sport, we have already calculated the moment is minus 71.7, and point C is 4.7, point D is MAB. Similarly, point A we have a MAB. Then using the judgmental equation or using the qualitative analysis, you have to draw the bending moment diagram and plug in that these values over there. No, just I hope I have, you will be clear about it. If not, just a quick recap of the today's lecture is that first of all, while applying the method of the slope and deflection equation, you need to identify the degree of the freedom of the structures, because it will ultimately lay the foundation for the writing of the compatibility equations. Then you have to find out the fixed end moments, and for fixed end moment, you can use the predefined formula or predefined table to calculate the value of the fixed end moments. Now, if we have a sport settlement, then we have a value of psi as well. If there is a no settlement, sport settlement, then this value will be considered as zero. And if there is a sport settlement, I am also going to solve an example of the sport settlement in the next class as well. you will get a more brief idea that when we have a full settlement, how we are going to tackle with that. Then you are going to write the slope and deflection equations, write the equilibrium equation for each joint, determine the unknown joint rotations, that is theta b and theta c, calculate the member and moments by numerical values of joint rotations, determine the step 6. You will find out the member and moments, MAB, MBC, MCD, and whatever goes towards the. Then satisfy the equilibrium equation or give a check of the your equations. Then find out the member and shears, like member and moments. Also calculate the value of the member and shears. Once and shears are calculated, using those shears, calculate the value of the reactions. Once reactions are calculated as well, you can check the value of the end shears and moment shears by applying the check, or you can skip this part as well. That's up to you. You can skip these both parts as well, both point step 8 and step 11. You can skip it, but to give a proper check, you can apply this equation, that whether you are going in the right direction or not. Once you have the value of reaction, then you using those reactions, our structure become determinate, and we can find out the value of the shear and bending moment diagrams using the beam convention sign. आई होप आपको ये लेक्चर समझ आया होगा. If you have a still any doubt, I would love to hear from you in the comment section of this video, or you can also approach me through my email or through my WhatsApp group. Thank you for the listening, and in the next lecture I will continue from onward and solve some more real life problems related to the beam analysis using the slope and deflection methods. Thank you for today.